Okay, welcome to our latest Hoops and Dreams podcast, which was recorded in the dying embers of October, but will probably be released as the month of November appears. My name is Brian Fisher, and along with a guest, I will review the latest games that we had and discuss the odd topic or two, plus briefly look ahead to the next few matches. I tried to get this episode's guest on the last podcast, but technical difficulties prevented him from joining us. So I'm really delighted that he's made it this time. It's Martin, who's also known on the Hoops and Dreams Forum as Minxie. He lives in France, but follows the R's progress closely. Warm welcome to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Right, so we're going to be discussing as a whole the last four games that have been played by the R's, starting off with the disastrous one at Luton on the 15th of October that we lost 3-1. That was followed up by the glorious game at Cardiff where we won 3-0, and the win at Wigan where we won 2-1. And finally, on Saturday, we were at Birmingham, riding on the crest of a wave of two wins, and we lost 2-0, unfortunately, to Birmingham. So, Martin, this was 2 wins and 2 losses, with perhaps the fans thinking that these are easier matches and they should all have been wins. Did it all go wrong at Luton and Birmingham? And if so, why?
Well, I think it did. Luton was an interesting one. We just really didn't click at all. Birmingham, I think, after 3 minutes for that fluke goal, I call it a fluke goal because he was only just speculatively putting it back into the box. So I think Luton was a real disappointment. Yes, Friday night was a Sky match, and at home. Away, but it felt like a home match because we had so many supporters there.
It's true.
Yeah. Actually, I quite liked the Birmingham match, but we didn't deserve to.
No, I totally agree with you on that. It was almost the sublime to the ridiculous in a way. We had the real highs of the QPR Cardiff match, which was really a superb example of what Mick Beale's been trying to do.
At home matches, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, and then you compare that with Luton, where we were out-muscled perhaps and out-strategized perhaps, who knows. But Birmingham, it was just a recipe, wasn't it, for disasters. I got almost the impression that we could have been playing for another couple of days and still not scored.
Well, when Lyndon missed the penalty, in fact, I knew he was going to. It was just that sort of match, you know.
It was. No, I agree. I couldn't disagree with that. Yeah, we've had a good run of results, Martin, and these have been against opponents who would have perhaps in the past we would have folded against, if truth be known. Whilst we should be pleased to win against the likes of Wigan and Cardiff, should we and Mick Beale be concerned at the manner of how we lost at Luton and Birmingham?
Luton, I think he immediately picked it up, sorted it out, and the team responded very well. I'm worried about the Birmingham one because in his post-match interview, which I watched just now, Mick Beale seemed a bit disappointed, blaming the referee, problem with injuries. He had actually 3. I hadn't realised that Stefan had an ankle knock and had been playing the first half, mainly because they didn't want to use their third sub, you see.
Yeah, that was the impression I got as well. I was surprised to find out that Johansson had gone off injured. I thought he'd been taken off for tactical reasons. So yeah, I'm like you on that. But 3 injuries, wow.
Well, at least we got Willett coming back on Wednesday, so that's good.
Yeah, it's true.
They're together. I've been waiting to see them all season. I've only just started watching the matches live. I've been out of action earlier in the season, but I get it on QPR Plus. And I prefer the QPR Plus because I don't like the Sky commentators and so on. So for Friday night's match, I was in Thailand. It's a dark market. I've got a VPN that I use to go to various countries.
Just as well. You know, I mean, the loss of
commentary, because Andy Sinton's very, very good.
And so is Nick. Yeah, I like them both.
Absolutely. And what I do is a little tip for people. I have a look at the communication. They do a little highlights with the communication group.
All right.
So you see their actual commentary along with the match, which is quite nice.
That's got to be worthwhile. Yeah, I enjoy theirs as well. If only you could pay for them in this country, you know, in the UK and watch it, it'd be great. And it'd be good revenue for the club. I think it's a real negative that the EFL and Sky have done this, but anyway.
Well, that's the way it is. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the loss against Luton, where the R's really did look second best. I mean, losing 3-1, you can't wrap it up any other way. It could be regarded as an exception. You know, after all, we won first against Reading and then post Luton with Cardiff and Wigan. But then we really did play poorly against the physical side that was Birmingham. For me, at Luton, we were outmanoeuvred, and at Birmingham, we were unsettled for most of the game, with the 3 injury substitutions not helping.
Yeah, I don't think our wing backs got into it at all, did they?
No, and you know, I said on the Hoops and Dreams forum, you know, I posted on there that I felt that there was precious little linkage between the defence and the midfield, because Johansson and Tim were playing further upfield, and that left the defence struggling to play the ball out from the back. Whether this was a strategy that didn't go well or what, I don't know, but it certainly didn't work. Time after time, you saw them struggling to find somebody to play it to. If there's no triangles to play it in, playing it out from the back is a hard thing to do.
I think having to make those substitutions really changed the whole game for Beale. I really do.
Yeah, and you've got to feel sorry for him because he set up the match with those players in mind, and obviously to lose 3 like that must have been a bit upsetting. And I'm sure he had tactical ideas of what he was planning to do for substitutions that were thrown out the window by all that. So fair dues.
You know, I for one was pleased to see Rob Dickie come back. So I'm happy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got the other thing I would mention is that I'm going to question the value of Roberts and Richards, because both have featured a fair bit now, but they've shown little value, I think, for the faith we've shown in them. I
actually like my Irishman. I really didn't until he spoke. I didn't think he was Irish.
No, he does. It does look like the wrong accent. But yeah, I'm going to upset you now because I'm going to say that the same applies in a way to Armstrong.
Really,
for all his efforts, I think there's little end product. And against Birmingham, he was poor. You know, with a handball, offside, stupid fouls, and failing to track back and assist the team. However, Armstrong, unlike Roberts and Richards, I think will improve because he was sort of at the Eze development stage, I feel, and he'll continue to learn, and we'll get the benefit from him. Richards and Roberts, not so good, really.
Yeah, I mean, Lyndon, I absolutely love. I don't know what's happened to him this season. He is just brilliant. He does everything so well up front, and I'm so pleased that he managed to get his double brace at last.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew he was going to miss that penalty, so that's water under the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I'll try not to think about it. So it's not all rosy. We can't put it any other way. But we're still in the top six in the most difficult league I feel in the world.
Third, you know.
So yeah, we can't knock this. And so perhaps we should put these defeats into perspective. Each game must have been set up by Mick Beale to counter the game's opposition, and it's obvious that the squad understands better what is required of them by the better performances we're getting for them as a team.
Yeah,
and it also helps that the scorers are getting so varied. For those 4 games that we've just covered, you've got Dykes with 2 braces, Parle with a fantastic header, Field and Balogun with a header. In fact, we've had 12 outfielders scoring so far. Let's ignore Diang's one. On top of that, the squad looks a lot more cohesive than I remember, and it's starting to play well across the pitch.
Yes, so, I think so. And, going back to Diang's goal, it reminded me so much of the Derby match where we came back 2-0 down to 2-2. And that ignited the whole season.
Yeah.
Right, the Derby match. And I think the Sunderland match will be the same. Funnily enough, there was a Sunderland supporter I was talking to the other night. We're having a spag bol over at the bar across the road here. And they were really upset about that 2-2 draw. They really were.
Oh, well, that sort of makes it worthwhile, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And I've got the vibes of the 10-11 season with the Moroccan magician.
Yes.
And I feel Chair is the same, I really do. The number 10 shirt really suits Chair. And when Willock comes back, I have got some really good vibes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what's been missing has been that good interplay on the edge of the box between Willock and Chair.
Absolutely. I have seen it on the left-hand side of the box there. I've seen it so many times over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
It's just magic. Absolutely magic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I can't wait for Willock to come back. It'll add an extra dimension. So
we're scoring again. That's great as well.
Yeah, I know. We're sitting on 6 points out of 12 out of those 4 games, which doesn't sound too good. But we're third in the league, behind, surprisingly, in a way, Burnley and Blackburn, and also surprisingly ahead of Sheffield United and Norwich. So really, we're not in a bad place, really.
No, I'm looking at the form guide, the championship table, and and Sheffield United are 4th, Norwich City 5th. They've been losing and drawing for the previous 4 games, and their last game they've started winning. And Burnley and Blackburn Rovers have been winning, and so we're doing well. Don't forget, we've got a game in hand over the top 2 and over Norwich.
Yeah, and that I hope we're going to make good use of it. But we'll see. In amongst the celebrations of our victories, we heard that Wolves were tapping QPR to approach Mick Beale over the vacant management position there. How worried were you, Minksy, by this news, and why particularly?
I wasn't worried.
Good.
Because I watched an interview of when Mick Beale came to the club. Also, the 2 interviews of Amit and Hose about his appointment. And I think above all was loyalty. It was his first place that he'd come to as manager, and they had committed, Les also had committed to providing what he wanted and he wanted a young squad, and
Yeah, he's got it.
so I wasn't worried, especially when we actually won that night. So the night before. So
That didn't help for Wolves, that's for sure.
no, absolutely true. And at that interview, Wolves had not approached him at that point. So there we go.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I could see common sense here all the way through. Firstly, this was his first post. He wasn't going to jump ship halfway through. And to be quite honest, Wolves could end up in the Championship next year, and we could end up, dare we say it, in the Premier League.
I know. I'm touching wood in front of me here.
Yeah, I'm grasping it.
Being a superstitious Irishman.
Yeah. But I've got to say, despite all that, when it all came out and it was all cleared up, there was huge sighs of relief from me, I tell you. So we've had a great run of results. It must be said that's got us as far as third at the moment. But using your crystal ball, will QPR still be there at the end of the season, do you think, Martin?
I'd love them to go up automatically. But also, I think back to our time at Wembley, and I really would like to be in the playoffs, I think. But there we are. That's me.
You know what? If we end up going to Wembley in the playoffs again, there better be enough defibrillators there.
I brought a French friend over, and he was amazed at first of all me. How I changed from the sober man I am in Saint Barthélemy.
In the France, yeah.
Yeah. So there we are. I actually have got the vibes of 10-11. And
okay.
I think we'll win. I think we'll get some silverware this year.
I love this. Wow. Okay.
I didn't think I'd say that.
Yeah, you know what?
Jinxed us now.
You've got to be pretty brave at this stage to say that, I think.
Well, in 10-11, I did go to all the away matches by coach with everybody, and gradually the number of people coming with me increased and increased, and our away supporters are just absolutely fantastic, and I see the same this year. A sellout at Birmingham, and I'm sure Norwich will be the same, even though it's evening match.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? I mean, it's bad enough that these are a midweek away, some distance away, but they're actually pushing them back 15 minutes. That 15 minutes could make the difference between making a connection to get home and not. But of course, we're run by Sky, not really the EFL. Don't get me going on that. I mean, for me, I think this has been a great first half of the season. And Mick Beale's vision has sort of really been turned into a reality as the players have understood and implemented what he wants in his plans. We also have the right mix of talent, speed, and experience to ensure that we're a well-balanced side. You rightly said that we're a young side.
Fantastic people. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We may lack, I think, depth. I think that's the only thing I'm a bit worried about, and that particularly applies up front.
But however, we've got the World Cup break coming up, haven't we?
I was just going to say that. I think there are 3 conditions I've written down that we have to meet to ensure that QPR remains at the top at the end of the season. Firstly, no injuries as a result of the relentless fixture list and World Cup duty. Because we know that when Chair goes away, he seems to have this black spot afterwards where he's just not that good. And then the other 2 conditions are other clubs remaining at the same level as now, i.e. there's no new players or coach making a significant difference to their performance. And finally, QPR not losing any of its star players in the January transfer window. That would be what I would add in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Amit, Les will stop that. I think because
yes,
they have made a commitment to deal for him to come to us, and I think that's the commitment they made.
yeah, and I think it's a commitment that both sides are honouring at the moment. And I think I just feel that this is like, as you said, 2010, 2011 type season. It's certainly a season to get excited about the R's, without a doubt.
Yeah, a rock and magician. That's my key.
Good. And I'm not going to argue with you on this because I think his work rate is phenomenal. I remember one of the games, I can't remember which one it was now. I kept looking up and there was Chair. You know, no matter where on the pitch you were looking, that's where Chair was.
He came on the right-hand side as well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm seriously impressed with his work rate. And yeah, if he'd have been injured during this time when Willock was not available, I think we really would have struggled. Okay, let's move on quickly to our predictions for the next couple of games. Right. First one, which you've alluded to, Norwich versus QPR, which is on Wednesday, and that's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Obviously, a fixture against a side that's left the Premier League with most of its players still there, and so that presents a challenge. And the Canaries sit near us in the at the top of the table. With only a small points gap. So they're obviously a serious threat. So, Martin, win, draw or lose?
Well, I want a 0-1 win, but I actually believe we'll lose.
Wow. Okay.
Unfortunately. Mainly because in the 10-11 season, I went to Norwich and we lost 1-0. I've just got this thing about it. It's a shame. Don't forget,
you might be right.
We've got a game in hand over Norwich, so it won't be totally bad. But the thing that worries me is that our next 3 games after Norwich are with the bottom 3 teams, and you know how we are with bottom of the league teams.
Yeah, expectation is always hit. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know why that happens, but it does. Norwich, we shouldn't really be
afraid. That's my point. Yeah.
I was going to say we shouldn't really be afraid of ex-Premier League sides awash with talent. We've got a side that's proven to beat the best on a good day. However, I do respect the Canaries squad, and it is away.
And Carrow Row is difficult.
I'm going for an optimistic draw. That's my one. Yeah. So let's move on to the first of those 3 so-called easier sides that you mentioned. West Bromwich Albion versus QPR, Saturday the 5th of November, bonfire night. This is not the Baggies of old. Their form this season has been disappointing. They've not had the start they would have wanted and languish in the depths of the Championship as a result. So will this be a question of bangers for us, Martin?
We're at home. I actually think it'll be 3-0. Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's a 3-0 match. So it's 0-1, although we'll lose, and 3-0.
Well,
I'm an idiot, but there we go.
I mean, we've already said that the R's have got a habit of beating better sides and losing to the stragglers, but I'm also going for a win. I'm not going to even predict the score, but I agree with you.
But I'm just looking at West Brom form. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. After that, we've got Huddersfield and the Terriers are having, after a fantastic season last season, really are having a dire one this one. And Coventry, and that's an away game. And they've had a weird season because of their ground issues.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they haven't played as many games either, which is the
No,
reason
no.
to be
And
frank.
so, but again, as you say, all three of them, those are in the in the relegation zone just by chance, and we're playing them one after the other.
Exactly.
So fingers crossed on this, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all we got time for on this episode from the Hoops and Dreams team, other than for me to offer my thanks, especially to my guest Martin for joining me. Thank you, Martin.
Yeah.
And to editor Dave, as ever, and to you for watching. Do click on subscribe if you're watching this on your YouTube channel, and do add a comment or two below. You know, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
I am Brian Fisher, and this was the Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Come on, you R's!
Come on, you R's!
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.